Conversations with Iris. Here's your host, my loving wife, Iris.
Hola, mi gente bonita. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to Conversations with Iris, where real talk meets healing, truth, and heart. I just love bringing you guys that sassiness, the pizzazz, and of course, that sazon to every conversation because every conversation just deserves to be heard. It deserves to be told. Why not? And of course, I just want to just give you guys a friendly reminder here. Don't forget to stream me. I mean, this is the little podcast that could on all platforms. So go on ahead and download, listen, subscribe, and share while you're driving, taking a shower. Come on, all these stories deserve to be heard. Definitely don't forget about me now. And of course, fan mail, fan mail, fan mail. Drop me some anonymous fan mail. There is a text link when you stream the podcast. Do you just show me some love, anything that you love, anything that you want me to talk about a little bit more. So take the time there to send me some podcast fan mail. That will be great. And I want to know what you like. In addition to that, so I just definitely want to take a brief moment to thank shout out our listeners out there tuning in from all corners of the map. We're starting out strong with Portland, Oregon. Ooh, I'm so excited about Portland because I want to go there so bad. We also have DeForest, Wisconsin, San Fernando City, Philippines. Ooh. And of course, I have to show some extra love to Winter Springs, Florida. Listen, that's my Central Florida family, and y'all are practically neighbors. So I'm definitely sending you guys a virtual hug all the way down from I-4. Let's be real. Thank you for keeping the love and, of course, close to home, and thank you for downloading me. So definitely, I appreciate that. Before we get into our guest today, I'm super excited about it because this particular individual has energy and equal parts of science, soul, and sacred healing. Yes, sacred healing. She's a board certified pediatrician, but trust me, this woman's work goes far beyond the stethoscope. Dr. Sue McCreadie is a powerhouse helping women in their 40s, 50s, and even 60s navigating just the twists and turns of hormones, heartbreak, and healing. I'm definitely in my 40s, ladies and gentlemen, and I've been going through some hormone things. You know, it's real. The hormones just hit you out of nowhere. But this wonderful guest of ours just has great platforms, soulful medicine. She keeps women to stop settling and start living with just joy. And she uses a blend of science, coaching, and sprinkle with a tarot of yes, she does it all, which I freaking love. So here to help women reclaim their inner compass, break the emotional patterns, and just shift their lives with power and just grace. What I loved about her mission the most is that it's deeply personal, spiritual, and full of heart. So without further ado, bienvenidos, welcome Dr. Sue McCreadie.
Oh, well, thank you, Ronnie. What a beautiful welcome. I'm honored to be here and I'm excited to have a fun conversation. Yes, and you're in your 40s. Yes.
Yes. You know, I've been going through some things called the crazy hormones and just a lot of emotions going on here, you know, depression, sadness. I'm happy. It's what's going on there. So I'm excited to get into that.
I hear you. I'm in my 50s, so it's been a minute. And it's quite the adventure of acceptance, really.
It really is. Oh my God. So listen, before we delve into your awesome story, I definitely wanted to ask you if you could create your own personalized tea, just like your little tea, just your blend to match your vibe today, what would that be? And what would you name it? Let's talk about that.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm always going to have chocolate everything.
Oh, yeah. You're talking to a chocolate lover here. Yes.
So if there is any way I can put chocolate in there, yes. Though most chocolate tea, I think, really falls short. So I don't know. If I really was going to have my elixir, it would be my chocolate, my morning elixir, which is, it's like a hot chocolate, but with mushroom extract.
Oh,
so a little
Morning
little
chocolate, you would
boost.
say, with
Yes.
mushroom. Okay, giving you some pizzazz there and some energy, right?
Gives me energy, supports my immune system. It is just so yummy. And then I add in not whey protein, but beef protein, basically. So it's like
Ooh,
a dairy-free protein source that I use, and it's vanilla flavored. So I mix that in like a creamer, and it's loaded with protein.
oh
And
my
it is just my
God.
new favorite thing. So I don't know, what do I call that? Can I call that the chocolate elixir?
Chocolate elixir
The chocolate
mushroom.
mama? I don't
Yeah,
know.
chocolate elixir mushroom bee proteinish, I guess. But I love that. I love that because you know what? As a fellow chocolate type of person, I am so down with that because that gives us a little bit about your personality, your spirit. And
Mm,
I could tell that your energy is both grounded and just radiant already. So
thank
before
you.
we dive into the deeper layers of your work, I really love for our listeners to understand the woman behind your mission, this
Hmm.
mission that you established. Because you know what? You talk about walking wild and radiant paths of becoming, and that's such a powerful phrase. And can you just take us back to that moment when you realized your overall healing journey just wasn't just for you, but for other women as
Mm.
well? Let's get into that.
Wow. Well, that would definitely take me back to um, becoming a mother. So, becoming a mother is a difficult path for me, and I wasn't expecting that. And that looked like multiple miscarriages. So, my husband and I were excited. We're just married, and we conceive right away. And then we miscarry, and then we miscarry again, and then we miscarry again. And it was so interesting, Ronnie, because like you would think I would be falling into like a deeper and deeper depression, which I definitely needed to do my inner work to sort of keep believing. It was definitely a faith-based journey. And part of me though was like, this is going to happen. Like I'm almost there.
Mhm.
I don't know if
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
ever had that where it looks like this isn't going to happen, but some part of me was like, this is going to happen. And I have my medical friends, and one of my dear friends from med school is an OB, and she's like, "Girl, you're halfway there. You got one of the hardest parts, which is just like conceiving. Like you guys conceive. It just was hard for me to hold on to the baby. But lo and behold, we did, and we birthed our oldest, which is now she's now about to turn 21.
Oh, wow. I have a 20-year-old, so I
You
understand. I
do? Yeah.
understand.
She's about to turn 21. So she is like full on mini adult out in there in the world, starting to work and whatnot. But, anyways, she was really my first window into the fact of, yeah, this isn't just about me, because it was during that process I learned things about my health and genetic things that were going on with me that then I could pass on to all the kids that I work with in my medical practice, right? So does that make
Wow.
sense? Like I started
Oh,
realizing
yeah.
like, wow, this is, I say, like God gives gifts in fascinating packages. And one
Mhm.
of God's greatest gifts to me were those miscarriages, for
Oh,
sure.
wow. Wow. So you took
Um,
the miscarriages as a sense of purpose, like, I have to do
mhm.
something about this. You discovered that not only with your health, but you were like, I could turn this around and help others, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And then there was another then we had another miscarriage between my first and my second.
Oh my God.
And that was also like, I was like, wait a minute, I thought I figured this out, right? And so it's just like life's unexpected turns. And that one was particularly really difficult
Mm.
because that was a second trimester, so we went to the hospital. We were like holding our little baby, right? And
Oh
didn't
no.
go get to go home with our little baby. So that was just, I mean, it's those types of, the gift of that really was, I think, understanding profound loss. Like I can still feel it as I'm talking right now. Like such loss walking away from that
Oh
hospital with
yeah.
my husband of like, wait a minute, like where's our baby? We're leaving our baby, right?
Yeah.
And so that has really allowed me to expand my empathy for other people
Yeah.
and their loss, right? Or their uncertainty of like what's going to happen, and just really be able to connect with them through that. So Yeah, that was definitely, a hard gift for sure. And it also brought me a lot of faith because the day we miscarried, a year later is the exact due date of our second.
Oh,
So there
wow.
was kind of like this divineness to it, like God's got this, like this is all divine timing, and so that really expanded my faith, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And I first want to sit here and tell you that I'm very sorry for your miscarriages, for your loss.
Mm,
I could only imagine
mhm,
feeling a situation like that and taking your pain to like transformative purpose, if that makes sense. You like turned it around, and I can only imagine leaving the hospital then. So when you were going through your miscarriages, or you were going through
mhm.
this and trying to decipher, I'm going to turn this pain into purpose, into awareness. Were you a pediatrician already at that time?
I was at the very beginnings of my pediatric career, so I was just starting out. I was like a fledgling, fledgling
Wow.
new pediatrician and also new entrepreneur because I never worked for anybody else. I finished my training. I did an extra year as the chief resident, and then I launched my business. So there was a lot going on, right? Like a lot of newness, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely, um, just a lot, a lot of profound experiences happening all at once, for sure.
Oh my God. So you were recently out of school. You unfortunately suffered these, unfortunate events in your life. Then you decided to take your pain into purpose, as we mentioned. And what happened after that?
Mhm. Well, for all the mamas out there, you know exactly what happened, which was like, wow, I am drowning in sleepless nights, changing diapers, breastfeeding.
Yeah. It's so painful when you breastfeed. Let's talk about that. I mean, come on. I'm glad that you say that, but it hurts. I'm never going to forget that pain.
I will never
Oh.
forget that either. That's so funny that you said that because I was like, no one tells you about these things. You know what I mean? I was like, if I didn't
No.
know the power of breastfeeding, I would be throwing this out the window.
Oh my god, and your boob hurts. Your boob really does hurt. Like, people don't understand, like, I have to pump the heck out of the milk out of this thing, or else they're gonna continue to hurt.
Yeah, we have like the funniest. There's so many funny stories, and one of our funny stories was with the breast pump. And when you're like first, you're so raw. Everything's so raw. You're like, wow, I just birthed a human, and like everything's so raw. And I remember the first time we like made it to Babies R Us or whatever to buy the breast pump, and it was like the first outing with our first, like our oldest. It was like monumental. Like get them into the car, get to Babies R Us, like, and you're learning how to like drive with a new passenger, right? And like everything was
Yep,
just like, right. So we get
new.
everything's new. So we get home and I was like, I'm exhausted just from going to Babies R Us to buy this breast pump. So I lie back and my engineering husband, I was like, hook her up. I was like, I'm lying here, just hook her up. And bless his soul, he didn't know. So he just like cranked it all the way up.
I love it.
I was like, oh my, my boob's getting sucked into this breast thing. I was like, okay, all righty.
Oh, yeah, very
Yeah,
painful, I'm telling you,
very,
very painful. Oh,
it's funny memories like that. It's such a journey. I just love it. It's made me, so that's what I launched into. I was just, then we had all of I have we have three daughters and they were all born about 2.5 years apart. So I always say, like, I didn't really resurface from underwater until my youngest was about 2 years old. Then I was like, oh, okay, I'm here. I'm here. Like, I'm
wow,
coming back. I'm getting my head above the water. And yeah, at that point, I was doing my pediatric practice all along the way and always part time. So kind of balancing that whole thing. And
good.
that's about, I was already into looking how I can help women at that time. I have several entrepreneurial businesses that I've tried and quote unquote failed
Oh,
along the
wow.
way. And I was already starting that process with another woman, collaboration. And so, yeah, I was always figuring out like how else can I support, how else can I help, how can I help women? But it wasn't until I landed about actually I gave up, to be honest, Ronnie, I gave up about it was like about the year 2021. I just had come to Jesus moment. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do pediatrics. I'm just not sure how this other thing. I tried so many different things
Really?
with women, and none of it was like quite the right fit. And so I was like, I don't know. Like maybe I'm just supposed to do the pediatrics thing and like sail off into
Right.
retirement. And within like 3 months of quitting, quote unquote, just like ending everything, I was like, within 3 months, I just followed a breadcrumb, which was in my email, and watched this woman. And then within, 3 weeks, I was enrolled in her year-long, coaching program, and realized, wow, I guess I'm a coach. I'm going to be a coach. And I sent an email out to my list of, women who had followed me through all these different entrepreneurial journeys. And 5 women raised their hand. They're like, I'll do coaching with you, Dr. Sue. And so off we
Oh,
went.
oh,
And that was
wow.
that was in 2022, so just a few years ago at the time of this recording. And
Mhm.
yeah, and it's been so fun. It's definitely my second calling. If pediatrics is my first, coaching women is my second. It is such a ride. It was so much fun. Yeah, it's just
Wow.
it's a delight.
That is wonderful. So it just took that little email, you clicked it, you became a coach. And I love how you describe yourself as a midlife woman. Just you talk about walking in the wild. Yes.
Mhm.
Radiant path of becoming. Let me tell you something that just hits hard right there, especially a
Mhm.
woman who just turned 40s and is trying to figure out, like I mentioned, these hormones and these things that you were going through. And
Mhm.
like take us back to like that moment when you realized just that midlife just wasn't a crisis. I mean, was it right after this coaching sign up thing and you were talking to these
Mhm.
different women?
No, I think it was before that. I don't know if I have a pinpoint of it because honestly, this whole perimenopause, menopause phase, I
Oh,
laugh because I'm a doctor, I'm a doctor of pediatrics, not not a female doctor, but
yeah.
still, I said to my oldest sister, because I'm the baby of five, I was like, what's up with this? Like, is this like a year or two? She's like, Sue, it's like adolescence. What are you talking about? It spans years. And I really do feel like midlife is a second adolescence. Like adolescence
Yeah,
is such a strange time,
it
like
is.
you feel uncomfy in your body. You're figuring out your identity, like where you are, where you fit into this world. And I really feel like midlife's like that too, which, thinking back to my adolescent years, it would have been great to have a coach, right? It would have
Oh,
been great to
yeah,
have someone being like,
definitely.
okay, Sue, this is what's happening right now, right? And I think of midlife the same way because so many changes are happening. There's physiological changes, that are happening to our hormones internally, which runs into like an onslaught of symptoms that we're dealing with, and also,
Yeah.
reaching out for support on how we can regulate those. So there's definitely the physical things happening. There's also, though, a lot of life transitions, right? Like usually kids are grown, probably getting out of the house or, flying the nest, as we say, right?
Yeah.
You've also probably got aging parents that you're starting to take care of more or be more involved in their care. You may be like changing careers or realizing like what the heck I've been doing. Maybe I get to do something else right now, right? And
Mm.
so I feel like there's just so many, and relationships, right? Like a lot of relationships can change once the children get older, and like divorce, separation. Um, yeah, there's just a lot of
Wow.
dynamics happening. And so to me, I feel like it's a wonderful time to have a support system along, along the way
Right.
as
I
you
agree.
navigate that journey. Yeah.
I definitely agree because there's a lot of things going on. And you talk about perimenopause, you talk about menopause itself. And, with your blend of pediatrics and you have these individuals that want to be coach, you just become a coach. How does that look like? And what is the nutritional component to it? You talk about tarot and combining real life science and just soul. What
Hmm.
what is that like when they come to you as a coach when you started coaching these people?
Hmm. It was so fun. The beginning was such a wild ride because I was kind of like, girls, I don't know what we're doing. Now, here we go. And a lot of in the early days, a few years ago, I was really learning what I learned, which are Tony Robbins. He's been a mentor and does a lot of obviously personal development coaching, and so a lot of what I used was his products and programs. And honestly, I would use those as
Great.
frameworks. Those are
Yeah.
kind of my
And they're
bedrock.
great.
Yeah, bedwork frameworks. And he's been testing those for 40 plus years, right? So I knew they've worked for me. So I was like, they're likely to work for her, right? So, and I still do use those a lot. Like that's a lot of my foundational kind of personal development frameworks, a lot of what I've learned from Tony Robbins. And what that looks like is sometimes in one-on-one coaching, we're going through that product or program. And honestly, it's not so structured, if that makes sense. I mean, life as a woman is very dynamic and in flow. Like before we hopped on, you're like, so how's your Wednesday, right? You're like,
Yes.
that's kind of what it feels like with coaching. It's like, okay, where are you? So we have a framework, a loose framework, and also though we're really going after what's happening in that person's life. So like one woman I can think of right now, that I started working with, she was at really a crossroads, right? She had already been divorced, for almost 10 years and really hadn't moved on from the infidelity, and so she was stuck. She was literally stuck, and she was already in traditional based therapy. And I said, I don't know. I really think this, Tony's got some frameworks that could be supportive, right? I said, how about we do it? How about we go through it? So, so we're still working together. We've been working together for, well over a year and a half now. And it's really translated into always better understanding herself, right? Like I always say, it takes two to tango, right? So no matter how thin you slice it, there's always two sides to the story. And though I'm not saying that infidelity is okay, we get to dive into how is that co-created, right? Like what's the part, right? Because the thing where we get stuck is we're always pointing the finger outwards, right? Where if life is a mirror and relationships are really to mirror back to ourselves, part of our unresolved things, right? Is where we can go back and get just with curiosity, right? It's not about beating ourselves up or anything, but just really leaning in with curiosity about how things that are going on outside of you, quote unquote, are really unresolved things inside of you.
Look at that. And then you said something that I want to hone in on. Life is a mirror. It really is. It really is. And that, I don't know why that stings and that hurts. I don't know. That's so relatable to what I'm going through right now, or somebody who's listening to this is going through right now. Life is indeed a mirror. And I love it how you apply the Tony Robinson tools and you help these individuals. And I feel like these women are just trying to be seen, feel safe, and spiritually supported overall. So I ask, like, what is that one emotional or energetic pattern you've noticed that many women just carry silently throughout this midlife?
There's many, but I think one of them is overgiving.
Oh, overgiving. I'm writing all this down, girl, because I know I'm going to need this in the future. So write it down, audience members. Overgiving. So let's unpack that. Why overgiving?
Okay. Because a lot of women are natural givers. They're nurturers by nature. I would say most women, especially those who are mothers of children or aunties, or, they have this nurturing sense. And so overgiving is one of them that I see, which is really a lack of boundaries. Like, this is where I end and you begin. This is what's okay with me and what's not okay with me. And if you're, I always talk about there's kind of 4 personality types for a midlife woman that I talk about. One is visionary, one is inspirational, the other is a giver, and the last is a detail. So let's just kind of compare and contrast, because I think that will help you with the giver. But I think giver is probably one of the biggest ones that I see. So visionary.
I'm sorry to cut you off there, Susan. I'm so sorry. But would you also, the overgiver, would that also be categorized as the pleaser? The over pleaser. Would you
Yeah.
say that too? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
The
sorry. I
people
just had to
pleasing.
put that. Yeah, people pleasing.
Yeah.
Okay,
People
I just want to make
pleaser.
sure. So, okay, you
hmm
mentioned visionary, inspirational, the giver. Which one else?
And the detail
Okay.
mama. So the visionary mama is like the Beyoncés of the world. You twirl on them haters. She's got a vision. She's going after it. She's clear. She's directed. She's courageous. She's like, get out of my way. Lion
Unstoppable.
roar.
She's unstoppable.
Unstoppable, confidence on fire. Just like, here we are. And we're all like, wow, that's amazing. How
I
did you
love
do
it.
that? And so the visionary mamas, that's the gift of the visionary mama is she's clear, she's directed, she's confident, she's courageous, she's going somewhere. Get out of my
Mhm.
way. The downfall, the obstacle or the challenge for the visionary mama is that, along the way, she can bowl over people and relationships, right? She
Yeah.
can lack the vulnerability of really allowing people to see into her. So intimacy is in vulnerability is her challenge to really
Mhm.
allow people to see who she truly is. And that's required to have like really connected, close, vulnerable, intimate relationships. So
Mm.
that's the visionary mama. The inspirational mama is the, you know, rainbows, butterflies, sparkly objects everywhere. The glass is half full. She's really positive, right? That's her gift. Like she always sees the glass as half full. She's the person that you go to and you want to hear, okay, what's great about this? Well, she's going to tell you what's great about this. And it could be in a really fascinating, ugly package that you've
Yeah.
just been given. And she's going to say, what's great about this is, right? So
Yeah.
that's the inspirational mama. She's a magnet. She's a sunshine. She's radiant. And people are attracted to her for that. The downfall of the inspirational mama is she is very distractible. Like she's like,
Mm.
that sounds fun. I want to do that. And that sounds fun. I want to do that too. And what about that? And what about that? And she gets so distracted that it diffuses her energy, right? So she's not
Wow.
really in the forward flow like a visionary mama can be.
Mm.
Um, so the giver mama is just like she says, she's like a giver. Like we all have those friends,
Yeah.
maybe your mama was a giver mama, she's
Yeah.
just like, just open her arms. Like you just like she gives you a hug and you feel like you can just melt into her bosom. Like literally she's here to give to you. She's like, how can I be of service to you? She's a great listener, right? She's just really
Yeah.
wants to provide and to give. The
Mhm.
downfall is that she can overgive, that she becomes like a doormat, right? Like people are just like trample all over her, right? And
Mm.
then she becomes resentful and bitter and she's like, why are people treating me like this?
Oh my goodness. I
Because
can
she's
only
not
imagine.
because it's really about establishing healthy boundaries. And then there's the detail mama. And the detail mama, I surround myself with detail mamas because they are the women who dot their I's and cross their T's. They're going to find your spelling errors. They're going to be drafting up the spreadsheets and organizing everybody on the trip or the carpool.
Mm.
The divine is in the details, and they're masters of it. The downfall is if you're so like dialed into everything being such a way, you can get tripped up in perfectionism, or life can just become really boring and stale because where's the fun? You're just
Yeah.
so organized, right? So
Yeah.
that's a detail mama. So you can actually take a quiz on my website, drcmccreadie.com, and discover
Oh.
what type you are, and the reality is we kind of all have all of these in us, except we
Mhm.
tend to be dominant in one area. And so your original question is like, where do I see most women? I work with a lot of giver mamas, which I'm like, yes, love me, my lovers.
Oh, yes.
And I work with them with helping them, establish boundaries of what's okay and what's not okay, so that they can feel their worthiness, and
Mm.
their inner respect for themselves, right?
I love that. And again, I just want to reiterate again, audience member, we have visionary, inspirational, giver, and detailed mamas. And
Mhm.
again, you could take this quiz on your website, which we're going to get into where our audience members could find. But you mentioned your site. Okay. So I want to delve a little bit into the soulful medicine. That name is beautiful. I love it.
Mm,
What does that mean to you? And how can someone just begin tuning into their inner compass when life gets
hmm.
cloudy and chaotic? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Well, the first part, soulful medicine, is really anything that fills your soul or sculpts your soul. So
Mm.
soulful medicine doesn't always necessarily feel great as you're going through the process. I
Yeah.
like to say we're sculpting our souls, right? So souls are here to grow. Like that's how I see life. We're here to grow, and growing sometimes can feel uncomfy for sure. So,
Mm.
soulful. That's what I mean by soulful medicine. It's something that fills your soul with joy, and also is here to grow your soul, right? So miscarriages were soulful medicine for me, right? Like I didn't ask for them. I didn't want those. I wouldn't
Mm.
want that for anyone, right? And also, though, I truly believe they're God's greatest gift that's been given to me. I've learned so much. I've been able to help so many people
Oh,
from those
amen.
miscarriages. And yeah, I wouldn't want it any other way, right?
Mm.
So that to me is soulful medicine. And the best way to like start to figure out like, well, what's my soulful medicine? How do I know? Is by getting to better know yourself, which is why I developed that quiz. To know what are your gifts? What are your challenges? Right. So that once you can orient in the world and your lens through like who you are in essence, not at a soul level, but just like at a personality level, like these are my tendencies, these are my
Yeah.
traits, these are my characteristics. Then I think when you're able to see, like, yeah, that's true, those are my challenges, right? Then you're able to start, you actually know where you are in your beginning, right? And that's the
Mm.
thing. People are like, oh, I want this, I want that. I was like, okay, well, where are we? Like, where are we right now? Right. And then where do you want to go? And then we'll kind of fill in the strategy of how you get there. So the best place to start, I believe, is better getting to know yourself through this, like a personality quiz.
I love that. I think everyone needs to take the opportunity to do that, especially in your 40s and 50s and 60s, especially when we got so much going on. Oh, I definitely urge you guys to definitely check that out. But as we move on to closure here, Dr. Sue, I just want to thank you so much again for not just being here today, but for being a vessel and a light
Mm,
truth and behind this wonderful cause and transformation that you've established. I mean, I love the fact that you walk through this midlife not with fear, but with fire and that ripple effect
mm,
of your healing work. It's truly divine. I love it. And I feel like you're
mm,
giving women the permission to choose joy. And you mentioned
mm.
live soulfully and just be themselves. And that's holy work. So I applaud to you.
Thank
But
you,
before we
Ronnie.
could wrap up, can you let our listeners know where they could find you, follow your work? I know you mentioned already some, but let them know again and learn about soulful medicine and your coaching programs.
So you can learn more about me at my website, drsuemccreadie.com, which is DRSUEMCCREADIE.com. And there you can take the quiz and you can also learn more about coaching with me. I do group coaching and one-on-one coaching.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. And of course, I can't let you go without asking. I got to do this. What's that one word or just a spiritual encouragement, a quote, or even a mantra that you want to leave our listeners with?
Hmm. My favorite that was passed on to me is asking the question, what would love do?
Mm,
What
that's
would love
beautiful.
do?
What
Because
would
I think
love do? Yes.
because I think when we get in, we're naturally, I believe our natural state of being is love. And that's why it feels so terrible when we're not in that state of love, right? Where we're depressed or anxious or fearful or drained or depleted or whatever we are, we're not in that beautiful state, loving state. I believe that when we ask the question, what would love do? We actually inherently know the best way, the best path forward.
Oh,
And so a lot of times, like my girls will be in these, fascinating situations or scenarios or trying to understand life, and they'll say, okay, mom, what should I do? And I'll say, they're like, don't say it, mom. I'm like, I'm going to say it. Even my coaching clients are like, I know what you're going to say. What would love do? I was like, yeah, because you know the best answer when you answer that question, what would love do?
Mm,
Usually, and love isn't always like, because a lot of people assume like sometimes love is laying down some fierce boundaries.
yeah.
Sometimes love is being vulnerable,
Mm,
being allowing someone to really truly see into you. Sometimes sometimes love is, having fun, like live a little. Love would say, go lay in the grass and look up at the sky right now. That's what love would do, you know?
that's right.
So I think there's endless amounts of answers. I just think answering that question, will give you a really clear path forward.
Wow, my soul needed to hear that for sure. And I know someone needed to hear that. What would
Mm,
love do? That resonates a lot. Dr. Sue, thank you again for saying yes to this conversation, walking boldly in your calling, and just being a beautiful example of what to live joyfully it means, for some others. So thank you again for coming to my show.
thank you.
And
Thank
to
you
my
so much, honey.
listeners, of course, and to my listeners, let's keep these conversations going. Live bold, live happy, con mucho, mucho amor. This has been Conversations with Iris. Thank you all.